Alexa off. Sorry about that. I was doing something. This is Barb from Barb's Ink Pad, and I looked up and it was like 9:55, and then I looked up and it's 10:04. Sorry I'm late. Woo! That's what I get for trying to... And you can hear I was listening to Alexa. Alexa likes to come on when she wants to come on and go off. Hey, it's Friday, and it's 10:05 now, and this is Barb's Ink Pad. Today I'm doing something where you only need one kind of a stamp set. Actually, because everything is going to be done with the masks. I haven't played around with the masks for a while, and there were a couple of different things that I've seen and a couple of different other ways. And one thing, and I will say, there are people who are, hi Pat, how are you? There are some people who use the Stamparatus all the time. I'm very sporadic with when I use it. And I should get better at that because it's good. One thing I wanted to say, I think when I first put down about put the nice little, graphic up with the new in colors that are coming out in the new catalog. And I just got really excited because someone else, and I forgot to write down the name, made some nice graphics, and that was the one that I posted on my Facebook page, was one of them. And if I go back and I find the name, I am going to put it on there and give her credit for it, because she actually posted 3 that we could use. Use one of the 3, all of the 3, anyway, which actually gave the color names on it. And I was just, I was really happy with them. There were a couple. There was one, Starry Sky, sort of tended to remind me a little bit of the outgoing Misty Moonlight. But no, I'd have to put that up against them to see how it's going to work out. Whenever you take a picture of something, it just, like in a catalog, no matter what, it never looks as good as what it looks like in person. And I found that with anything from jewelry to even cards and all like that. How many people out there, how many of you guys out there think you look at a card and you think the dimensions should be so much bigger, but they're really not? And you just kind of get a little bit confused with that. I am not very good with dimensions or just trying to eyeball something and think. Sometimes I can a little bit, sometimes not so good at it. It's not one of my specialties. But I want to show you a couple things that I'm doing with these. And the first time I saw this particular, let me give you how does I go from one thing to another because I look at something. The names of the new colors coming out, and I'm so excited to be able to get them, are Sweet Sorbet, that's the one that's the pinky color, Parakeet Party, which is the green, and I like that green because one of my favorite colors a few years back with the in colors was Lemon Lime Twist, and that sort of reminds me of that. There is one other thing. It was like really cute because when we got like a little clue about what the color might be, somebody called it Budgie, and I'm like, I know that name, and how do I know that name? What is a Budgie? And a budgie is another name for a parakeet, and I believe they use that down in Australia. And not that I'm the expert on Australia, but I was down there for a couple of weeks, about 2.5 weeks, a couple of years ago, just before the COVID broke out. That Christmas of 2019. So we were down there. So a budgie is a parakeet. So if you see that name on there, somebody likes the budgie stuff, then that's a parakeet. Then there's Tahitian Tide, which is sort of, I think, a play on the old Tempting Turquoise, but I think that might be a little bit later. Starry Sky and Orchid Oasis. And the Orchid Oasis, just looking at it on the thing, sort of reminds me of sort of like a Wedgwoody sort of a blue, but it might have more purplish tints. But I can't wait to get my hands on the actual paper and the ink. So look forward to that because we're able to order April 1st as demonstrators, and trust me, because we're going away April 10th, I want to make sure that that order gets here before I go away. So I'm going to be overnight in this order. So I'm so excited. There's lots of cool stuff. So it just depends. I went through the catalog. We were able to look at that. I went through the catalog, saw tons of stuff, wrote down things that I like and how much I'm going to be willing to bet, because everything I tend to like is not in the catalog at first. And I may not be great about it, but I come to like it and end up getting everything. So let's get down to this. And if I'm not mistaken, I think these are the decorative masks. Hey Kathy, don't worry. I looked up, I was doing something. I looked up at my clock on my thing said 10:04, so I was a little late too. I know, I can't wait to get my hands on the new in colors also. But we're going away April 10th, so I'm making sure that mine's overnighted. So be prepared next week. Depends on what time they actually come in the mail for a box opening. So I'm excited about that. So this is the card I'm going to do. And you can see the only stamping that was done was this. Otherwise, I used the decorative masks. And let me show you what I did to do this. I like these colors. It sort of reminded me of, you know, sort of like an old-fashioned-y kind of a look, which that's actually what I was going for, because when I was trying to figure out, I didn't want to make it so monochromatic. But I thought, what colors can I use? And I'm surprised with the Misty Moonlight. Let's see how close Starry Night comes to that. These are the masks that are in the January to June catalog. I think I'm going to take it back. I'm going to hope that these are the ones that are in there, only because I know this is, and I think it's this one too, because these are all the same side. The other masks or stencils, I know it's going to cost me more, but sometimes it's worth it to me. So I'm going to go for it. And by the way, Kathy, I like that one fish. I saw one of your new what was it? The one thing with the fish thing in it. That was a really pretty card. The fish and the papers from the wave set. I really liked that picture. I really liked that card. That was really pretty. I'm gonna try it out one day. So this is a card, and I'm going to show you a couple of samples that I made using these masks, and I'll show you that in just a bit. But these are the two masks I'm going to use, and I'm going to show you the best way that I found to use them. So, excuse me, I get a spam call that comes through. Did you hear that? That was on yeah, that's still going. Pretty good. Okay. Yeah, your profile picture, the new and the cover pic, they were really pretty. I like those. So, like I said, I didn't use anything other. This is the only thing, and you could use this too. Celebrating You has some little stamps in it, but I used this to get my little sentiment for that. This is so cool. I really like this. Many messages, and it's still in the new catalog. Yes. So I'm going to use the Stamparatus, and somewhere along the line I know I have another pack of the graph paper, so it doesn't have to look like, but that's that. So now what I found with this, somebody else did this with an awesome thing looking like a rainbow, which was really kind of cool. And the way she did it, what I did it, she just had it. One of these days I'm gonna, hi Kay, how are you? How's North Carolina? She put it down in one corner and started to work the way, and I found that this worked really well when you're going to be coloring the whole thing. So what I'm going to use for this, and I'm using, because my card base is going to be the cinnamon cider. Hey. Oh, you're saying good morning, my friend, to Kay. I know. That's okay. You said good morning to me earlier. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to go around. I'm not so worried about filling in the middle. You can. It doesn't make any difference. But I tried to kind of make it look a little bit. And then try to hold it down a little bit at the top. And then once you get it, I would just do that while that's holding down at the top. So then what you can do when you get that sort of the colors that you want, I'm just going to hold that down, and that'll kind of hold it in place. You can use more. If you just kind of go, it's good to kind of, if you want to go around, but that kind of moves it a little bit. So, and you can make this as dark or as light as you want. You can kind of hold it down with your fingers a little bit too. That's not going to hurt anything. If you move it, it kind of munches it up a little bit, but I'm using this as a background. So sometimes if you want to go it off, but I want to get a couple of little dark spots in there. See, and I'm going to put that up there. You can just kind of move it around. I'll just kind of color that. I'm going to kind of do it a little bit darker, sort of in the corners. So let's see. If I feel, like I said, if you find that it's moving, just kind of go back like that. And let me move this down here. And just make this a little bit darker up in here. And you know what? I just realized that I'm coloring the damn graph paper. I'm not coloring the paper that I need now. I will always show you what not to do. I was wondering, like, why does that look cool? Does that not look good on there? That was wrong. Here we go. That's the color that I wanted to use. And just kind of figure this out, you know, like right here. Now we can really color. I can show you what not to do, or what to do. Is this not fun? And these things are strong one of these days. It's a beautiful sunny, going to be 63. It's beautiful and it's sunny here, but I don't think it's going to be 63. It might be. I don't know. I hate this weather. Yeah, spring is good, but spring in Maryland is like, you know, like once you go to sleep. That's why it wasn't showing up as well. I'm going to make that a little darker in the corner. And a little darker down here in this corner. And then just kind of bring it up a little bit. You don't have to make it. There we go. If you mess it up, it's good before you get it back in there. Like I said, I will always show you what not to do, and not on purpose either. That's like, have you ever heard the term MOPS, which is messy on purpose? And that's where you actually do something, and you do want it kind of messy. But I really, you know, like you tend to forget this. And this makes great. These masks make great. And look at this, man, for a pack. And I can't remember. And prices are going up. On everything. And we'll just kind of do that through there. So there we go. So you have a nice little background paper. And you didn't need to stamp it. You just needed to, these magnets are really, really strong. And one of these days I got rid of all my washi tape because I'm not a washi tape person. So I didn't worry about that. So now I'm going to actually put this on here. Because I've got another piece that I'm going to do. But I really like the fact that you can just, buy a pack of decorative mats, decorative sheets. I still call them stencils. It just sounds more nice. Just got my mask, haven't had time to play with them. I know, I did, and I was just, there was one that I was holding off on, because the one that I did with this, because I thought, oh God, am I going to get confused? And I will probably get confused again, because it's like, oh, see you later, Pam. See you next week. Oh, having lunch with your son. Enjoy. I know this mask is really pretty. This is one of my favorites. Now, I took a whole piece of paper. After I get it done, then I'm going to cut it, because I use the contoured, yeah, I use the contoured. I use these, okay? Use that to cut it out. So I waited until after I got everything done, and then I cut it out. And then I ran it through the Tasteful Textiles, because I still wanted it gave it that oldie kind of a look with it. It didn't make it so good. Okay, now with this, I did this a little bit different. This is the... This is the one. This is the one I'm going to do first, and this is the one I'm going to do second. And pray that I get it right. If not, cards have two sides. I know, I don't play with them much either, Kathy. Now, I sort of found the middle on this. Now, the one thing with these masks, you want to kind of tape them down. But I tell you what I do. Oh, God, ages ago, I bought some of this because I did another thing with it. These are Post-it notes that are super sticky, and they're sticky everywhere except where this little kind of line is. Otherwise, it's sticky all over. So you really want to mask. Oh, and that's another thing that's really exciting. I'm excited about the mask paper or adhesive, whatever it is. I'm excited to see that. That's going to be in the new catalog. I guess I can mention it. Oop. You want to have this down just so it doesn't move, and you're just going to kind of cover up, because I tend to be pretty sloppy. And as you can see, like here on the inside, I got a little bit on the outside, but that's okay. Now I'm going to put this over here, and I'll tell you why. I am going to take, and I am going to cut this off, because I'm not as worried about that. That'll be up over there. And I'm going to take this. You end up having lots, it's like lots of little pieces. But that's why I like this. I bought this for something else, and I bought a whole pack like at Office Depot. I think it was Office Depot. It could have been It was Staples, sorry. You want to see, you don't want to cover up what you need, and I know I do need, and trust me, this is super sticky. I just kind of keep playing with it. This is the longest part of the whole thing, is just getting it covered up. No, actually, you know what? I left that open because I decided I wasn't going to sit there and play games with it. That's right. I decided to make it all one color. I decided to make this part monochromatic just because. That's right. Yes, I did do that. I was just looking over at that, and it was like, yeah, you dummy. See, so, and I'm going to cover that up there. And just in case I get crazy, right there. So this is the hardest part of the whole thing. Now for this part, I'm going to use my lighter color, which I'm using Balmy Blue and Misty Moonlight for these. So here's the, don't want that. Here's the Balmy Blue. And just kind of go, see, so this way, and again, you can do this as like, I kind of like it kind of a little bit of, you know, just kind of move that around a little bit. And then I pray I did this the right way that I wanted it to do. And if I didn't, we're going to turn it over. Because I'm like looking at this and I'm thinking, oop, did I do that right? But I think I did. So now I'm going to just take these off. Some of them, if I didn't mess it up, I will use it again, but I just kind of... But once you start playing around with this and then figure out different colors that you want to use, it's really kind of cool. But I love the way that that comes out. And then you're going to take this part, and this part goes this way. You just play around with it, because at first I'm like, why isn't that really fitting? Well, it's not fitting because that's not the right way. Then you'll look, and let me see if you can see. Then you can line these up and you'll see, yep, that was the right way. You want to use that one first and then this one. And then you can work and you can see how this all sort of fits together. Because you've got these little lines coming up in there and it fits right in between. And even if it's off a little bit, nobody's perfect, and then you move it and everything is. So it's really kind of cool. Like I said, this one can be a little bit time intensive, you may think, but it still kind of works out really kind of cool. Let's see, I'm going to use that there, and then I'll use this here. I'm going to cover that up there. Put this here. Like I said, if you can get this, or you can use, some people use like the painter's tape. And I know I had some painter's tape around somewhere, but I obviously moved it, and either my husband took it or it just kind of there. And now I'm going to take, that was the Balmy Blue. Now I'm going to take the Misty Moonlight. And I used the Misty Moonlight mostly because it was, I don't know, it just sort of, I felt like it was going to give me that old-timey kind of a look. Okie doke. And again, you can make it as light or as dark as you want. I kind of really like these for doing this, but I'm curious on how the we're at the time, yeah, when everything lines up correctly, and there we go. And I really, really like this. At first I was like, it's going to be too complicated when I watch the thing. But once you get it going, it's like, it like really works out. And these are really cool because then later I just take and then just kind of wash it off. So now I'm going to take my anybody else always forget which size they used. All right, let me grab this. Let me grab my, and of course this would not work. It may work with the mini, but I know my embossing folder doesn't, so that's why I have this one out. But the mini is on sale. Love it. Glad I already have mine. But see, I'll just center that. This way, if you do make a blooper or whatever, of course, there are no bloopers. You just kind of make it however it works. And then just do that. I love these contour. So there's that. Oh, God, I love these. You know, like it's like I feel like now I want to use it on everything. And then I am going to take my Tasteful Textile. I'm going to try not to bang on the thing and knock it out like I did last week. The Tasteful Textiles. My other favorite one was, then it's not there anymore, was the Subtle embossing folder. That was always good. But like I said, it looks okay. You don't have to run it through an embossing folder, but I like this Tasteful Textile because it just gives it just enough something. It gives it just enough. Let me get this out of the way. To make it, you know, like I still feel like, you know, like just doing that just kind of gives it that. And I just realized that I had something else on there, but I could have put on before the other and I forgot it, but that's okay. You know, but it just kind of, it just gives it that old-fashioned kind of a look. I don't know. Let's see if I can still use it somehow. I forgot that I put some of that like crocheted ribbon on there, but I don't think it really makes that big of a difference on there. And looks like I got ink on my finger. All right, and my card. I have this, and then I just popped it up with some dimensionals. Let's see, I know I had the, I always lose something. Oh, there it is. I don't know. But I think, you know, this just kind of makes it, but it didn't show up all that much. It was like, oh well. Wonder. I'm going to try something. Okie doke. So with these, and I'm going to pop these up with some dimensionals. And like I said, so far, haven't used any stamps, just this. And this makes such a pretty design. I really like that. Put that on there. And then I'm going to do something here. What do you think? Put that up in the corner? Or no? I don't know. I'll think about that. Tell me. I know. I like the mini. I really do. It's really cool. And then I used to put in the flowers there, I used the rhinestones from the Waves, the Rhinestone Waves Basic Jewels. And you get a variety of different ones. So I'm using the darker ones here. These are the Pacific Point color. So I used this, and I used one of the bigger ones in the bigger flower. Should get my Picket tool, but nope. Will I? Nope. Will I use tweezers? Yes. And then I'm going to use the next bigger size on this one. And then just these smaller ones in the middle with those flowers. And there, so that kind of like bumps it up just a little bit. And then, like I said, I used the many messages, and before, what I did is I just stamped them all. I just took the whole thing, inked it up with the cinnamon cider, and then I cut them out. Cut them all out. So now I have this, and yes, it is all one, but I might take and do it with black and white on white, on basic white, just to give me, because like now, check it out, I have got a variety of, and I could do it on the very vanilla and on the white with the basic black, just to kind of give it, and then as you do it, you know, like you might have some colors, but look, I've got all of these sayings, and you can just pick out, what one do I want to use? Whoa! You could use a little sending happy thoughts down there, down at the bottom. I just wanted to use something sort of small. Now this one kind of, sending a smile your way. So you could do any of these that you want. I think on the other one I used congratulations, sending happy thoughts. Here's another one, just wanted to say hi. So I like these because some of them are small, and it works in just when you have that small little space to do there, and it works out really well. And then you have some bigger ones that work out. So it's really kind of cool. I like it. So you have a choice of things that you want to do. Now I did your kindness. See, look at this. I like that your kindness means more than me. But you know, I didn't want to put it across the whole bottom. Although you could push that up a little bit, put this along the bottom. But I'm going to use the sending a smile your way. Let me see. Did I want to do that one, or just wanted to say? No, that's a little bit bigger than I wanted. Thank you ever so much. Nope, nope. And you know, you can go through and find out one, because where's that little one? Sending happy thoughts. There are two sending happy thoughts. Hope your day is full of fun. Oh, here's one. This is what I was going to use. Then there's this little teeny tiny hi there. That would be great if you have something in the, let me see. Let me get it up here. Whoop. Come on. Man, that's really, well, hi there. Couldn't focus in on that, probably because it's focusing, but I like this one, oh happy day. And then you can just save them and just leave them right in there with the, leave it right in there with the stamp set. So this way it's like you can go in and it's like, whoa, look, I already have some already cut out and stamped up. So it kind of works out really kind of good. I like that. But like I said, or if you know, wait until you need some the next time and then just stamp the whole sheet and you've got a whole bunch of different colors in there. So I really, really like that. And just leave it right in there, and it's done. So now the happy day, and I am going to use some little mini dimensionals. Where's my minis? Some little mini dimensionals to put on there. Excellent. And just put that right there, and boom. That was the only stamping I did. That was it, period. Now, the one thing I did want to say is that when I did the many messages, I did it two ways. The first way I did it is I left this in here, stamped it, I didn't like the way that came out, so I did like it when I put it on the big block and stamped it up and then put the paper down. And I did use almost, I think I used like the half sheet. I cut it, you know, cut it 5.5 by 8.5, and then I was able to, you know, I just laid it down and covered it. The first one that I did, I had like 1/4 of the sheet of paper, and it was 5 1/4 by 4 1/4, and that it just wasn't big enough. It just kind of cut off a little bit. So I found, and I did that in there. But I did like it so much better. It came out so much clearer when I did that. You just have to stand up over top of it and really kind of put it down. So that's the card. I am really happy with that because I really, really like that. I just got to play around with more colors. Now here's something else that I did with another one of the masks that's in the main catalog, in the regular catalog, and it's the one that looks like, the best way I can describe it is mermaid. So I just kind of did it in 3 separate colors. I wanted to make it a rainbow, but then I was like, I'm doing it a little bit too dark. And I was like, I'm not figuring out the rainbows. But this worked out really well. I love the colors. I love, this is the Bermuda, I want to call it Bermuda Bay. Can't remember if that's the name of it. And then this is Melon Mambo, and that's Granny Apple Green. And then I was like looking, and I thought, I like the cat there and the fish. We got gold. You got the little fish in there, and this can remind you of some fish scales. So I just kind of did him out, and I was trying to think, I think I'm going to try, because I don't use those as much as I could, the layering diorama sets. So that was kind of cute. I just kind of like that. It just kind of worked out really well. And I want to show you something else that I saw. And it worked out really well. And then, because you also use the masks for, I know, it isn't as flexible. Yeah, it does. Yeah, Kathy, it did give a better coverage. I like this one because I saw something, and I believe it's in the new catalog, and that's coming up. But it was something they did. They might have used Versamark on the bottom, but here it is. Here's the soft succulent, and I stamped I did the butterfly. I did this using the soft succulent ink on there, and then I took the embossing paste. I took the paste. Yeah, the embossing paste, and went over it with that. And just did up the butterfly, which makes a really nice, like little piece or a centerpiece in there. And I wasn't like, I got very uncreative. And I was like, duh, and I wasn't thinking. And again, my mind goes to monochromatic, and I didn't want to do that. So I'll think of something to use this, but I've got it on the side if I like. But those are a couple of ways that you can go ahead and use the embossing folder. Do multiple colors, do one color. And there are so many things out there. And like I said, if you just you don't have to use a stamp set. You can just use a stamp set, like to just kind of offset it. Lots of different ways to do it. So I hope you enjoyed that a little bit. Just something to remember that they're in there, and I tend to forget about them. But like I said, this one, I want to admit that I was like, oh no, I'm never going to get it as good as what they showed how to do that and everything like that. And it's really a piece of cake, and it's really fun. Just remember, this is number 1. And this is number 2. And I probably should take like a magic marker or something and mark that down there, 1 and 2, just so I remember which one to color first, because I can't remember. Sometimes with the 1, 2, 3 stamp, I wish they would kind of put a little 1 or a 2. I think one stamp set at one time that they'd have that, or they had it like when you like on the paper there. But I like those. So, oh, good. I'm glad I showed you something new, Kathy. Enjoy it. Okay, go have fun with these. So I'm curious, and I'm going to admit, I didn't even look and see what kind of masks they had in the new catalog. I like looking at the PDF version, but I so much more like it when it's in my hands and I can play with it. So, a couple of things too. The mini and some of the sets are 20% off, or yeah, I think it's 20% off. And it's the last chance things, so get that there while supply lasts. So if there's something that you really want to grab before it goes away, grab it now while it's on there. Because once supplies are gone, they're gone. Have a great day. Enjoy your weekend. And I will see you next Friday, right back here. Barb's Ink Pad. Have a good one.